Whoa, yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely. Whoa, yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely. Say it again, y'all. Look out. What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me. Whoa. Listen to me. Ain't nothing but a heartbreaker. Got one friend, that's the end.
Hello RageQuitters, welcome back. Here we have our PC review of Saber Interactive's zombie slaughtering game World War Z. If we could sum up this game in one word, I think we'd have to use the word carnage. The good kind of carnage, of course. World War Z is heavily inspired by 2013's action horror film of the same name, starring the lovely looking Brad Pitt. He is quite a delicious looking bloke, isn't he? Anyway, so we have to ask, what is World War Z? Well, it's a third person, 4-player, story driven cooperative shooter where you and 3 other buddies, or 3 other bots, have to buddy up and kill hordes of bloodthirsty zombies. The game ships with 4 maps which are split up episodically. New York, Moscow, Jerusalem and Tokyo, which are then split up into 3 chapters. Save from Tokyo, which is only 2. Friendly fire is enabled by default, so you have to keep a trained trigger finger and stick together if you are to survive. Now we're going to try and get through this review without mentioning the words left, for or dead. Left 4 Dead. Oh fuck. So this is the PC version that we'll be reviewing. We'll be detailing the technical aspects of the game as well as performance, audio, visuals and above all how the game actually plays. And with that, let's move on and talk about the PC ports options. As we delve into the game's options, we can see there's quite a lot to tinker with. Audio, graphics, HUD and gameplay elements have a generous amount of items to tweak and fine-tune to your taste. The game also features full controller support for those of you who wish to indulge in some couch gaming or just prefer to use a controller over a keyboard and mouse. Speaking of which, we're pleased to inform you that the keyboard and mouse controls are pretty much spot on, with little to zero mouse acceleration and fully remappable keys. It's strange we have to mention this because it should be a standard, but you'll be surprised the amount of games that don't have this basic option. I mean, it's just a little bit crazy, isn't it? The game also has an inbuilt benchmark tool, so you can gauge how much of the eye candy you need to dial down to sustain a consistent frame rate. This is where the game excels, as Saber's Swarm engine is very scalable and delivers really good performance, even when the action heats up, and boy, does it ever heat up. On the subject of performance, there are 2 renderers to choose from in the video options menu, DirectX 11 and Vulkan. We would suggest you stick with DirectX 11 for the time being, as Vulkan seems to be bugged and performance isn't up to scratch. You'd definitely get more frames using DirectX 11 for now. The developers are aware of the issue and are working to fix it. So with the technical details out of the way, let's talk about the actual game. One thing that surprised me was the vast amount of playable characters there are. There were 16 in total, 4 per episode, all with their own backstories that are delivered through unlockable video shorts. The amount of detail lavished upon these is rather surprising, swaying cloth and straps from their clothing with super rich, fine details throughout. Player and zombie animations are also pretty smooth, from the casual walks to the full-on sprints in glorious smooth frame rates. We'd be remiss to mention how Saber's Swarm engine sets this game apart from the dozen others out there. There could be hundreds of zombies on screen at any one time, piling in through cracks, over hills, creating zombie pyramids, and even throwing themselves off high points, with zero interest in self-preservation. They are machines. Their sole purpose in life, or death, is to get to you and eat you. In addition to the zombie swarms, there are also a group of special Zeds who can make our survivors' lives even more hellish. We have the Screamer, who uses a megaphone to attract nearby zombies. Although he's not much of a threat physically, he can bring all sorts of swarms in if he keeps on screaming. Best thing to do is take him out as soon as you see him. Next up we have the Stinky Hazmat Zombie. He wears a very bright yellow hazmat suit and leaks nasty green poison when shot. His noxious fumes are very deadly, especially at the higher difficulty levels. Best thing to do is dispatch him at a distance, aim for the head. Adding a little more creep to the roster, we have the Creeper Zombie. This guy looks like a British chav with tracksuit bottoms and a bare chest. He lurks in the corners, waiting to pounce on any careless player who doesn't have their wits about them. Once he pinches to the floor, you're screwed unless one of your teammates takes him out. He's a noisy bugger, so you may be able to get the drop on him. As soon as you see him, just nail him. And last but by no means least, we have the Bull, an infected heavy cop in full heavy riot armour. He's very easily aggroed and will charge and ground pound you to death if he gets the opportunity. Aim for the head or try to dodge his attack. Pray you don't get more than one of these after you at any given time. His enemy type promotes teamwork. Focus all your fire on him until he goes down. It's also nice to see that the developers didn't see the need to add special infected that take you away from the group. Smoker. Jockey. Thank you for that. In terms of gameplay, this is classic action horror with an interesting twist on an almost tower defense-like mechanic. Each scenario will feature a defense portion where you have the option to use items such as automated turrets, electrical traps, mortars, machine gun turrets and barbed wire. All these tools come in very useful when you're trying to hold out. Believe me when I say World War Z comes into its own when these events take place. The swarm system really looks spectacular and never gets old. The whole game is governed by a kind of AI director that is constantly monitoring player progress. If your performance is poor, then it will ease up on the zombies and be more generous with pickups and deployables. However, if you're really killing it, if you're really going to town on the zombies, well, I'm sure you can figure out the rest. Now, let's talk about the game's visuals. It's not a bad little game visually. On the PC, the frame rate can be set to 30, 60, 90, 120, or you can have it uncapped. So if your PC has got the minerals, then you can pump out some rather cool visuals with buttery smooth performance. That's what every PC gamer desires. The maps are fairly large, load times are reasonably quick as well. There's also numerous post-processing effects and good use of particles such as snow, rain and smoke, as well as some decent texture work throughout. There's a few low-res textures here and there, but considering how smooth the whole experience is, we can overlook those. There's also some rather striking lighting effects and shadows going on. This sets the mood perfectly. Ultra uber special mention has to go to the game's models, in particular the weapons. They look the absolute nuts with a ridiculous amount of detail lavished upon them. There's over a dozen toys to deal some death with, which brings us on to the next section, weapons of death. Take a pick from a variety of handguns, SMGs, rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, and a good old fashioned crossbow with explosive tips. They won't know what hit them. There are also special heavy weapons that can be scavenged from cases or locked doors. These locked doors require a breach charge to access. Map exploration reaps its own rewards. Most of the weapons can be upgraded. The more you play the game, the more XP and credits you earn. You can level up your weapons to a maximum of level 5. Here's where World War Z sets itself apart from the traditional zombie shooters. You're able to unlock a variety of attachments for your weapons such as scopes, stocks, silencers and laser sights. Along with the class system, you're able to change your loadout as well, which is a great little feature as it gives you the edge over the zombies. Another neat feature is the class system. There are 6 classes in total, all with their own traits and uses. I've been focusing on leveling my gunslinger just because, well, I like to shoot shit. There are different ways to approach the game, and finding the balance in your team is key to victory, especially when you decide to take on the highest skill levels. At the moment, leveling is fairly fast, especially on the highest skill level. However, leveling other 5 classes might start to feel a little grindy, considering the fairly small map roster. This is where multiplayer comes in, with a totally new set of classes. There are 10 classes to choose from in multiplayer, with a preset loadout. There are a number of perks or skills to unlock through playing and leveling up. Here's where, on paper, the game shines. Not only are you facing off against other players, but the zombie swarms are omnipresent. As in normal survival and the film, the zombies are attracted to noise, so the louder your gunfights are, the more chance of a swarm invasion. This has to be the most fun we've had in a multiplayer game. A 4v4 swarm deathmatch was something to behold. It's just a shame it was marred with desyncs and glitches. It really felt like the multiplayer mode was added at the last minute. Players were ice skating, zombies were glitching, and even the announcer was giving us out of date scores compared to what was being shown on the screen. We really hope this is giving some TLC, as it has definitely got the potential to be awesome. We played at least 2 matches of each offering. There's Swarm Deathmatch, King of the Hill, Scavenge Raid and Vaccine Hunt. It would have been nice to have a bit more map variety. What I've seen, there is a lot of reused areas from the campaign. While this isn't too bad, it can get a little bit samey. It would have been nice to have a few more new areas. Hopefully something will be coming post-release. Really hope multiplayer is giving more love in the future. It's got a ton of potential, and it was what we played and what glitchless gameplay we had was tons of fun. So let's talk audio. I feel the game's audio is, for the most part, it's very good. The majority of the guns, however, sound a little fluffy. Some sound quite beefy, but yeah, they definitely could do with some improvement. Character's voice work is quite good as well, if a little repetitive. Certain explosions felt a little fluffy and could do with a little, a little extra oomph. The deafening noise of the incoming swarm, however, that's rather blood curdling. Gets the tension ramped up all the way to 11. General zombie sounds are also good as well, rather creepy, rather special. Also, special mention has to go to the ambient sounds and music, as well as the dynamic music score. It's all sounding rather awesome, especially in surround sound. So on the whole, its general sound is pretty good in the game. So we're nearly at the end of this review. What didn't we like about World War Z? What didn't we like? Well, one major boggle we encountered is the lobby system. There's very little options when you're hosting. You know, you can't close the lobby to friends, you can't have it passworded, there's very little control. You know, it'd be nice to be able to host a private lobby without having it open for people to join. You know, you do get some people who like to just troll, which we encountered on a couple of occasions. Also, there's times where me and my friend just wanted to chill and play with a couple of bots. It would have been nice to have the option to have a password or have a friends only lobby, hoping that gets added at some point. It'd also be nice to pause the game when you're playing offline. At the moment there's no option for that. You press escape and the game continues in the background. So that would be nice to be able to pause the game. Again, it's not a big issue, but it's something maybe could be added. On the subject of bots, the bots in the campaign are rather brain dead. They're basically dumb turrets. They don't interact with anything or even heal players, not that I've noticed anyway. On more than one occasion I was being buggered by a creeper and my bot companion would just stood next to me, watching on. He either got a kick out of it or was just totally broken. Very odd behaviour. It'd be nice to see some improvements with the bots. Yeah, not great. Bugs, we encountered a few very strange audio glitching bugs when things got really hectic. Apparently this also affects the console version as well, so I'm hoping that's on their list to fix. Multiplayer also needs some love and care. I think in the desync department there's a lot of glitching going on. That could be really cool once it's fixed. Apart from these little issues, I mean, we can't really say much else about the game. I mean, it's pretty damn awesome. We continue to have a lot of fun with the game. Me personally, I didn't expect it to be this good, if I'm perfectly honest. I do love zombie games, but even I got tired of them at some point. However, this game has really surprised me, as I said, and for the price of £31, I'd like to say it's reasonably priced, and it also performs great on PC. In closing, if you like shooting zombies with your mates, if you like blood and gore and hordes upon hordes of relentless zombies, World War Z is definitely for you. It's not without its issues, but they can hopefully be fixed. We have no hesitation in giving this game our prestigious RageQuitters Legendary Award. We'd like to give a big shout out to Focus Home Interactive for providing us with review keys for this game, much appreciated. The game can be picked up on the Epic Store for £31 English or your original equivalent. I'd also like to give a massive shout out to my main man, my homie, my awesome Spanish dude Dagan, for creating the kick-ass intro and the new RageQuitter logo. Thanks buddy, you're awesome. And if you like this review, please hammer that like button, and if you liked it even more, you can even hammer that subscribe button, that would be most appreciated. Also give us some feedback, What are your experiences with the game? You know, do you like zombie games in general? Talk to us. We're always open for some discussion. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay safe out there. Bye.
A fucking vitamin cunt!
What'd you say? Vegemite cunt?
Vitamin P8, whatever his name is.
Yeah.